Hey, Coach. This is Adam Winkler from Norfolk, Virginia, and have a Commonwealth-related question for you. I understand that you and Coach Arians would have overlapped for a little bit in your time at Virginia Tech just a few years ago. So I'm wondering maybe what you saw from him back then, if anything, that maybe indicated he would be as successful as a bench boss as he's been.
Well, I was a freshman. He was a redshirt senior. And so he was our starting quarterback. And I saw the ability for him to lead an offense and a football team as a fifth-year senior. And then he went right into being a graduate assistant. And I was a defensive back there. And it just continued. He's a very intelligent man. He's a very down-to-earth man. And, when you're a quarterback and you command the respect of your offense and your team in college, and he just continued that.
Next, we'll go to Therese Paler at Yahoo Sports.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Hey, I'm curious to know what's it like watching tape of Travis Kelce and understanding that, your guys might have to play a role in containing this guy. Just want to tap into your knowledge of football. Just when you turn on the tape and you see this guy you got to match up against, what makes him special and what concerns you?
Well, what makes him special is he can do everything. He can run a deep route. He can run a short route. He can juke you and get yards after catch. He can make the difficult catch. He's a big guy. The guy's the best at his position in the NFL right now. As far as concerning, our guys get paid to play defense, and Coach Bowles will come up with some stuff that hopefully will be able to help us out. But at the end of the day, we're playing against the best tight end in the National Football League, and we're going to attempt to do our best out there.
Great. Next, we have Josh Weinfuss from ESPN.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Josh, how are you?
I'm good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Josh.
So Bruce has taken the play calling off his plate. Have you seen a difference now that that's happened in his stress level? Is he more calm than he was in Arizona, or is he any different now that he doesn't have the responsibility of being a head coach and a play caller?
I would say, Josh, the biggest difference that I see is he's probably more connected to the entire team. Whereas in Arizona, he had to call the game, he had to set up the game plan, and he was on the offensive side. This has given him the ability to move around more, talk to the defense more. I would say that's probably the biggest aspect of it. Now, I don't sit in the offensive room with Byron and him, so I have no knowledge of that. But he's just probably a little more freer to move around and direct the entire team and talk to the defense a little more.
Great. Next, we'll go to Joshua Allen at Bucs Report.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing today?
Very good. And you?
Doing well, thank you. So can we just speak on Antoine Winfield and the season that he's had as a rookie coming in, starting from day one? He's missed the last game, but his impact and his ability to just grasp the NFL and the defense so quickly and make such an impact on this team.
I would say that with Antoine, he is probably more mature than most 21-year-old guys are. With Antoine, I would say he was extremely well coached at the University of Minnesota. And probably the biggest nugget would be the way his father raised him, the way his father taught him, the way his father is still helping him. All those three things give him an edge. And then when he came in, he just went to work, kept his head down, asked the right questions, extremely coachable. And then when the season started, he just felt right at home. I'd say the biggest thing is Nothing was too big for him early. And if you go back and look at him, his dad was all pro. His dad was Jim Thorpe Award winner, and that's how he was raised. So, and his impact has been tremendous. He's been able to come into a young secondary and help us out immediately. And a lot of rookies can't do that, especially when you don't have the OTAs and the mini camps. So he came right in the fall, and boy, he hit it running. It's been a great addition.
Great. Next, we'll go to Michael Phillips, Richmond Times Record.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good.
You had mentioned your time with Bruce Arians in college. You guys seem to have kept up that relationship, even though you weren't on the same staff over the years. I'm just wondering what that was like and how that's evolved over the years.
Well, I met Bruce in 1974 as a freshman, and he was a redshirt senior. So I spent 5 years with him, 1 year as a player, and then he went on and became a coach for 4 years. So I spent 5 years there. And then when he got the Temple job, I went with him at Temple for 6 years. So that's, that's 10 years right there. And then at Arizona, it's another 5 years. Then here's 2 is 17. He's just a really good person. He's the type of guy that you want as a friend. He always remembers roots. We're both Pennsylvania guys. I'm from Newcastle. He's from York. And, besides 1 year, he's always been my boss. So it's been a great relationship.
Just a reminder for media members, if you could all put your affiliation next to your names as we continue here. But next we will go to Ira Kaufman.
Hey, Nick, thanks for doing this today.
You're
Nick, what are some of your takeaways from the first go around with the Chiefs in terms of, Carlton Davis, Nick, no great shame, with one-on-one with Hill. And did you feel he should have had more safety help? Nick, did you feel bad for Carlton Davis in that first half?
Well, Ira, what really happened is we got sucker punched in that first quarter. And we came back off the ropes, and we tried a couple different things. We just weren't in man. We were in a couple zones, and the momentum just hit us. And I feel bad for our defensive backs, when a particular play doesn't turn out the right way. But they're NFL defensive backs. They're paid to bounce back. So, that first quarter, you have to give all the credit in the world to Kansas City. We just weren't playing one coverage. We played 3 different coverages, and they still hit us. So hopefully we've learned. Hopefully we have gotten better. And then we'll find out here in 6 days.
Next, we'll go to Marla Ridenor.
Yeah, Coach, I know you just talked a little bit about Antoine Winfield, but have you ever seen him make a play where you thought, oh my God, that looked like his dad there? Or have you met his dad? You talked about his influence. I just wondered if you have an example of maybe something that maybe even Antoine Jr. said that, oh, my dad taught me that years ago.
I've never met his dad. I'm looking forward to meeting his dad. With this COVID, it's hard to meet anybody outside of your circle. But probably in training camp, he made a couple plays that I just said, wow, he knew exactly where he was supposed to be, had the proper leverage, and made the play. And I know it sounds routine, but just the first week of training camp, he just made play after play after play after play, and would go in the defensive room, and I'd look at Todd, and Todd would look at me, and would say, whoa, he's accelerating faster than we thought, because this is not an easy scheme to learn as a safety. It's not. There's a lot Todd puts on their plate, and it takes a little bit of time. And through his maturity, and I think through, I mean, you know, he goes at night, he talks to his dad, and his dad helps him out, which I have no problem with that at all. But it was probably earning it just early in training camp. He made I think it was the second week, he just kept making play after play after play. And we started to say, wait a minute, this kid may be ready quicker than we thought.
Next, we have Taylor Jenkins.
Hey, Coach. So you draft Mike Edwards last year, you bring in Antoine Winfield Jr. this year, and all of a sudden Mike Edwards becomes a rotational player. And like you said with Antoine Winfield, making all those plays in camp immediately takes the starting job. Now, when I asked you about Edwards in training camp, you said that he was a ball hawk. I think that was evident. He had, I think, 2 picks in like his first 40 defensive snaps this season.
Mm-hmm.
But you had issues with his tackling. You said that was a bit of a chink in his armor. So first off, what have you seen as far as growth from Mike Edwards in his second year here? And when you have 3 safeties that are playing so well, do you sometimes have to go to Coach Bowles and just say, you got to find a way to get 3 guys on the field, whether that's a dime package or a big nickel or just some way to get these guys involved and all 3 of them on the field?
Well, first of all, I think Mike has taken a big jump this year. No doubt about it. Number 2, I don't have to go to Coach Bowles. Coach Bowles is a safety by trade and a secondary coach by trade. And as Mike started to get better and we put him in, like you said, like a pitch hitter sometimes, and he kept making plays, we started playing more dime. And in the last half of the season, we tried to put 3 safeties on the field because that's what Todd has always wanted to do, is put 3 safeties on the field. And, you know, we had that in the game plan the last couple weeks. Unfortunately, Antoine got injured and we had to scrap that because, you know, now we can't put 3 on the field. But we put 3 safeties on the field the last half of the season, a little more than the first half of the season. And Mike Edwards has come on, and Mike did a really nice job against Green Bay. So it's really a nice situation with you got 3 safeties all under the age of 24 years old. So we are really pleased.
Back to Michael Phillips, if you have another question.
I did. I'm somewhat intrigued by Bruce Arians' college student because we've got some pictures here and the hair is a little bit out of control. I was just wondering if you had any funny stories of him in his time as the quarterback and a college student.
Say that again. I was laughing.
No, just
out of control.
Just if you had any funny stories of him, being a college student at Virginia Tech.
You know, I don't have funny stories, but and it may have been because I was from Pennsylvania, but Bruce went out of his way to help out the freshmen. And that's the theme of Bruce Arians his entire life. He goes out of his way to help people out. If anybody would say, what's the greatest characteristic Bruce has, is his ability to help people out. As a young freshman, he took me under his wing. And could have been we were from Pennsylvania, but he just went out of his way to make me comfortable and adapt to the situation of college football. As far as funny stories, yes, there are a couple, but we'll leave it at that. And he had a nice head of hair. You know, he had that Kevin Costner look, you know, combed back.
Great. Next, we have Steve Isbitz from JoeBucksFan.com.
Joe Bucs fan.
Sounds like you're a fan, Coach. I appreciate it.
You know, I didn't get to tell Ira, ye of little faith.
Well, you can smack him around in person after you win the Super Bowl.
I think you do a great job on that.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're different. Coach, I wanted to ask you, who is the untold story of this Buccaneers defense this year? The guy that fans don't realize has come a long way or puts effort behind the scenes or is playing hurt. Your opinion of who's the untold story on this defense?
This may sound crazy, but the untold story is how this defense has really come together and evolved, because it's really a bunch of real good veterans mixed in with some young kids that the young kids sometimes had their growing pains. And my goodness, those veterans, I can't tell you how much they helped them. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. We got your back. Just keep playing back there. Just keep doing what you're doing. It was just fabulous to see, like Sue is such a leader. First one out there, works overtime, always saying something positive. JPP, Shaq, the inside linebacker, David, just, I would say that's because we had some growing pains in the middle of the season with the secondary. And those older kids just embraced them and said, just keep playing. That to me is the untold story of how this defense, then we started to get our feet back underneath us and we're playing a little better football. But that to me is the untold story, how these veterans just helped these young kids and never pointed a finger at them and just said, hey, just keep playing football.
Next, we'll go to Patrick Yen.
Hi, Coach. You kind of talked about this earlier, but Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, they're going to show you a ton of different looks. They got a ton of different talent on that offense. What's it like preparing for those guys? And is it much more difficult compared to some other teams?
I'd say schematically, when you play the Rams, they do a lot of crazy stuff. It's not the scheme where Kansas City gets you is at every position, it's the skill level. They have so many high skill level players that, yes, you got to be aware of Hill. You got to be aware of the tight end. You also got to be aware of the other wide receivers. You had to be aware of the running back before he got injured. It's their scheme, but it's the high level of performance of all the players that they have. That's what they got going on for them.
Next, we'll go to Leo Haggerty.
Coach Winfield makes a great play in the Saints game, and then he can't go up at Green Bay. Next man up, great. Whitehead makes a great play and hurts himself. All of a sudden, it's next man up. You got two backup safeties. Were you holding your breath a little bit up there?
I'm going to give you an honest answer. When you coach for Bruce Arians, he says, coach them all.
Oh, great.
Love them all, coach them all. And that's the philosophy he has always had. So when he says next man up, he means next man up. So, when Mike Edwards had to start, Mike's been playing good football. And then, we're fortunate to have Adams as the fourth safety. He's played 4 years in the league, extremely intelligent. So, no, not with the front that we have, not with the leadership that we have. All of those guys got to do in the back end is just do their 1/11th of the defense. So, and I give credit to Bruce and I give credit to Todd. Coach them all up, have them all ready to go.
Looks like we have Steve Isbitz back from JoeBucksFan.com for another question.
Are you allowed to have two questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Coach, I apologize if you've answered this before. Todd Bowles was talking about 10 minutes ago regarding the strong impact Tom Brady has had on the young players in the back of the defense. And can you speak to how you've seen him impact those guys on a day-to-day basis?
First of all, Tom has the most powerful impact because his actions speak so loud, he never has to say a word. That's the first impact Tom Brady has. The second impact is, during two-a-days, after Skelly and after team pass, you'd see the DBs go over and talk to him. And he would give them every piece of information that he could. Tom is just a wonderful leader, just unbelievable. But yeah, when you have all those young guys, and they were in awe of him, and they're still in awe of him. But during training camp, he helped them out. They'd go up and ask him questions, and he'd help them out. But again, I go back to his action speaks so loud, he really doesn't have to say a word.
Next, we'll go to Carmen Vitale from Bucs.com.
Hi, Coach Rapone. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much. I apologize if you answered some variation of this question earlier, but I'm just curious about, so Antoine Winfield Jr., obviously his absence was felt in Green Bay. And as a rookie, to have that much of an impact in your first season, I just feel, we've talked about that ad nauseum, I know. But I want to know kind of what he was expected to do this year that was maybe the newest to him, or what that he didn't do in college, and how he was able to be successful. If you can think of something specific that maybe wasn't really a part of the college game, but is part of this defense, especially where safeties are stressed so much.
I'll just go back, Carmen, to say his learning curve, he accelerated his learning curve more quickly than any of us anticipated. And just like I said, the second week at camp, we were just looking at the video and saying, wow. And it's how he was able to accelerate all the checks, all the coverages, all the leverages, all the blitzes in 2 weeks. That's probably the biggest aspect that hit me about Winfield early. And then he just continued, and he just continued. And then when we got into the regular season, all he does is go out and play football. That's all this young man does. He just loves to play football.
Great. We have 5 minutes left in the session. We'll go to Josh Weinfuss at ESPN.
Hey, Nick, a follow-up to my question earlier about Bruce. Being close to the family and everything, on being back on the East Coast, being close to the home, how good has that been for him, do you think?
I think it's been good for him. I think he sat out a year, and he realized that he still had a craving to coach. I think the sitting out a year was probably the best thing that he did. He was able to regroup, and he said he still wanted to coach. I mean, it's a great place to coach. Tampa's a great organization. You're down in Florida. The weather's great. We were in Arizona. The weather's great. I just think that sitting out a year, Bruce got the feeling again that he wanted to go compete. And he did. And, Josh, he's such a loyal guy. He's gonna bring people that have been with him that he can trust. And the people that he brings know they can trust him. And then he just built a staff from there. And him and Jason have done a fabulous job putting a roster together.
Great. Next, we'll go to Mark Topkin at Tampa Bay Times.
Coach, you see Gronk every day. You see Gronk every day in practice. Who's Kelce presenting challenges, and is he kind of like a little...
I'm sorry, I could not hear him.
You're a little hard to hear, Mark.
I'll try this again. Sorry.
That's much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach, you see Gronk every day in practice. Who do you see in trying to defend Kelce, and is there a little similarity personality-wise there too as well? He's kind of been referred to as baby Gronk.
The question is, I see Gronk every day in practice.
And what do you see, Travis Kelce? What challenges does he present?
Well, I mean, I see Gronk every day in practice, and boy, does he practice. It's one thing. Him and Tom just practice. Kelce is a big time concern because he can run every route. You can put a defensive back on him. He can still get away from him. He catches the contested ball so well. And he's probably the number one outlet when the quarterback starts scrambling. And he's such a big bodied person, but his ability to run routes is really impressive. And then he can run a deep ball. He can run a short route. He catches it contested, and then he gets yards after catch. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt he's the number one tight end in the league.
Next, we have Danny Heifetz from The Ringer.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Very good, and you?
I'm doing great. I don't mind this whole Zoom thing. Question for you. Patrick Mahomes seems to be great at moving defenders with his eyes. How do you coach your players to deal with that?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You have to stay. If you're in man, you have to plaster your man, and if you're in zone, you have to somewhat stay in your zone until he throws the football. If you try to anticipate, sometimes you get in trouble because he's like Roethlisberger. You think he's throwing one way and he's going the other way, but the guy's just phenomenal when he gets out of the pocket. His downfield vision is laser-like. I mean, if there's a guy open downfield, I don't care if it's all the way across the field back. He has the rare ability to find it. So, and it's a challenge, and that's why they have the numbers that they have. It's a challenge. When he starts scrambling, he's dangerous. I mean, he could put the ball 60 yards downfield on the run.
Last question, Christopher Holmes.
Hi, Coach.
Hello.
You just talked about Brady's contribution to the team. I just want to know, is his input valuable considering the big games he has had against the Chiefs?
The question is,
if there is a valuable input from Brady to the defense, considering how many big games he has had against the Chiefs?
No, not really. No. I mean, Todd has handled everything defensively. Tom's leadership is, everybody knows about it, but no, we just go about our business, and maybe on offense, they have talked about, all the games he's played against the Chiefs, but on defense, we're just trying to defend them.
All right, that wraps it up, Coach. Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Have a good one.
Thank you.